This sign is used to warn drivers about A. Upcoming intersections. B. Road construction. C. An upcoming curve in the road. D. Changes in traffic lanes. C. An upcoming curve in the road. This sign indicates that the road ahead curves to the right. This sign means A. Winding road. B. No parking. C. Right lane closed. D. Multiple turns. A. Winding road. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a winding road and that they should adjust their speed accordingly. This is a fill in the blank sign. A. Stop. B. Wrong way. C. Yield. D. Do not enter. C. Yield. This triangular sign is a yield sign. When you see this sign, you must slow down to check for traffic and yield the right of way to pedestrians and approaching cross traffic. Stop only if it is necessary to do so. Driving while being distracted by any activity. A. Is never dangerous. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. C. Usually causes the driver to drive faster. D. Is only dangerous for young drivers. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. Distractions cause drivers to react more slowly to traffic and hazards on the roadway. Distracted driving is never safe.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
When approaching a school bus stopped with its stop arm extended, drivers should A. Come to a complete stop and wait to proceed. B. Honk their horn before passing the bus on its left. C. Continue driving when they think most kids are probably done exiting the bus. D. Pass the bus before its door opens. A. Come to a complete stop and wait to proceed. When approaching a stopped school bus that is using its stop signal, a driver is required to come to a complete stop. They should not proceed until the stop arm is withdrawn. Drivers must yield to a pedestrian. A. Even if the pedestrian crosses the street carelessly. B. Only when the pedestrian is in a crosswalk. C. Only if the pedestrian is on the same side of the road as the driver. D. If the pedestrian uses a hand signal to ask oncoming drivers to stop. A. Even if the pedestrian crosses the street carelessly. Drivers must always yield to pedestrians in the street, even if they are crossing against a red light or are otherwise being careless. Which of the following statements is not true? A. Wearing a safety belt helps a driver maintain control of their vehicle. B. Only children under the age of 18 are required to wear a seat belt. C. A child safety seat should never be placed in front of an airbag. D. You lower your risk of being injured or killed in a collision when you wear a safety belt. B. Only children under the age of 18 are required to wear a seat belt. The law requires all occupants of a motor vehicle to be restrained with a safety belt or a federally approved child restraint system. When you see this sign, it means A. There is an object on the roadway. B. Traffic is coming from the right. C. The road is curving sharply to the left. D. There is a merge point ahead. C. The road is curving sharply to the left. Chevron signs like this indicate that the road curves sharply in the direction indicated by the chevron, in this case, to the left. There may be several chevron signs placed throughout a curve. Your vehicle's stopping distance increases when stopping. A. On a wet or icy road. B. On paved highways. C. When driving at night. D. All of the above. A. On a wet or icy road. Stopping distances increase on wet or icy roads. Stopping distances also increase on road surfaces covered in loose gravel or stones. A right turn at a solid red traffic light is allowed. A. After the driver has stopped behind the stop line. B. After the driver yields the right-of-way to pedestrians and other vehicles. C. Unless there is a sign or symbol indicating you cannot turn right on red. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Unless posted otherwise, a right turn on a red traffic light is generally allowed. Before turning, you must come to a complete stop before the stop line or crosswalk. Yield the right-of-way to other vehicles and pedestrians before making the turn. This road sign means A. Sharp turn to the right. B. Double curve. C. Winding road. D. Pavement ends. C. Winding road. This sign indicates that the road ahead winds with a series of turns or curves. This sign means A. Slow down if an emergency vehicle is approaching. B. Look both ways as you cross the intersection. C. Always come to a full stop at the intersection. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. Decrease your speed as you approach an intersection with a yield sign. Prepare to stop and yield the right-of-way to vehicles and pedestrians in the intersection or crossroad. You must come to a full stop at a yield sign if traffic conditions require it. To check your blind spot before changing lanes. A. Look into the left side mirror. B. Look into the right side mirror. C. Look into the rearview mirror. D. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. D. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. To check your blind spot before changing lanes, you should look over your shoulder in the direction that you plan to move. When riding in a vehicle, small children A. may be safely held by a strong adult. B. will be safe if they are standing on the floor in the back of the vehicle. C. will not be hurt in an accident because they are small. D. must never be allowed to ride while standing in the vehicle. D. must never be allowed to ride while standing in the vehicle. Special child seats are available for children who are too small to wear regular safety belts. No person is strong enough to safely hold onto a child of any size during an accident or sudden stop. Never allow a child to ride in a vehicle unless they are properly fastened into a seat. The sign with this shape and color is a fill in the blank sign. A. No passing zone. B. Wrong way. C. Railroad crossing. D. Stop. A. No passing zone. Pennant-shaped warning signs like this are only used to indicate a no passing zone. At an intersection with a yield sign, you should A. Always stop before entering the intersection. B. Yield just to the traffic on the right. C. Yield just to the traffic on the left. D. Slow down and yield the right of way to other traffic. D. Slow down and yield the right of way to other traffic. A yield sign means that you must slow down and yield the right of way to traffic in the intersection or roadway you are entering. You may drive across a dashed white line. A. At any time. B. Only during daylight hours. C. When it is safe to change lanes. D. Only when passing a motorcycle. C. When it is safe to change lanes. Traffic lanes moving in the same direction are separated by broken white lines. You may cross over dashed lines to pass, if it is safe to do so. An octagonal sign is always a A. Speed limit sign. B. Stop sign. C. Hospital sign. D. Railroad warning sign. B. Stop sign. Octagonal signs are always stop signs. Come to a complete stop when approaching a red, 8-sided sign. This sign shows one type of A. Right turn. B. Intersection. C. Lane change. D. Road curve. B. Intersection. This sign indicates that a T intersection is ahead. This sign means A. Stop. B. Side road. C. Two-way left turn. D. Farm machinery. A. Stop. 8-sided traffic signs warn drivers that they must stop and yield the appropriate right of way at an intersection. Drivers may proceed when it is safe to do so.